Now we go right into it. In Lagos State, government silent months after teacher's sodomist case. 2 months after a 10-year-old pupil of Blessed Peace School in Egbeda, Alimosho local government area of Lagos State was allegedly sodomized by his teacher, the Lagos State government has yet to disclose the findings of its investigation. This is just as the survivor's mother, Sido Joseph, expressed frustration about the management accusing the school of being unsympathetic to the family following the incident. The suspect, Prosper Lewis, allegedly lured the survivor to a location on October 18, 2024, under the pretense of taking him to a spelling bee and art competition, promising that he would win millions of naira and potentially travel abroad. Although Lewis has been remanded in prison until January 23, 2025, when the case is scheduled to be heard, the state government's investigation into the circumstances surrounding the incident, particularly within the school premises, remains unknown, despite the promise of an investigation. In an exclusive interview on Saturday, Joseph accused the school of abandonment, stating that she had been solely responsible for covering expenses such as transporting the police officers and fueling their vehicle, adding that the school did not support me with a dime. She further added that although the principal had accompanied her during the trial, she was dissatisfied with how the school handled the matter, particularly its failure to provide information about the teacher and his background. During an earlier interview, the proprietress, who declined to disclose her name, said the teacher has already been detained and is no longer at the school. That's all we know about the matter for now. He is no longer employed with us. Our correspondents' further questions were ignored before the call ended abruptly. Follow-up messages sent via WhatsApp were also unanswered. Meanwhile, the spokesperson for the State Ministry of Education, Mr. Kayode Sutton, informed our correspondent that the relevant department had been notified and an investigation would commence. Now that we know this, we have forwarded the information to the appropriate authorities, especially the Office of Education Quality Assurance. They will take immediate action and investigate and visit the school, Sutton had stated. Mr. Kolawole, what are your thoughts on this story?
It's actually a sad and disappointing topic, because I don't even know where to begin. I think that parents send their kids to study, to learn, and it happens to their child. To make it worse, you don't get the follow-up, you don't hear any information about what has happened to the person, that is the teacher in this case, that has committed the crime. Now, it's a common thing in this part of the world, and it's sad to say it, even as an engineer myself. When crimes such as this are perpetrated by people,
right,
in schools, if I may say, they tend to keep or safeguard their image, and then I don't know why they do that, and then let the perpetrator go scot-free.
Now, the perpetrator was said to is currently being detained in prison. Now, the question is, how do you think the attitude of the school, what does it speak to you? Because when a parent brings a child into a school, they expect that their children are going to be safe for the time being when they're in the school, right? So what are your thoughts as the body language as described by the mother of the survivor? How do you sense the body language of the school regarding the matter?
That is where I'm heading, because for me I feel like before the parents come, speaking out that they are not hearing anything, definitely they are trying to tie down the case. There's that way I can look at it from. Yes, it's said that he's being detained, but what's happening next? We all know that most times these things just fade away. Few weeks from now, we won't get to hear what happened to the perpetrator. We'll just find out that nobody's talking about it anymore. And this parents would also probably get tired of speaking up when nobody's listening. So I feel like these people should be made as scapegoats. And in scapegoat, I mean you should let people know what is going on, carry them along, carry the parents along, carry Nigerians along.
Right.
Because this is a funny situation at all.
It's a funny situation. And also, when we talk about sodomy, it's a part of, a man having intercourse with a man, as it's meant to be, as it's said to be according to the LGBTQ community. Now, when this happens to a child in Nigeria, we have a 14-year sentence for people that engage in gay activities, right? What are your thoughts as regards to how we handle rape of a minor as a people on one hand, and the second question, or on the other hand, what are your thoughts as regards the growing, sphere of the way LGBTQ and the gay community is growing in Nigeria, despite the fact that the government has said there is a 14-year prison sentence for people that practice such?
That is a fantastic question, and it's not clear enough even for me speaking to you, because we know our Nigerians openly said that we do not what's the best word to use now? We do not accept the existence, quote, and now you find out that people are doing these things, sodomizing man, which is, and then you have a teacher sodomizing a kid. Now it's wrong. And in as much as we keep telling ourselves it's wrong, we try to feel or understand that maybe it's not just natural, maybe it's a psychological thing, and we should not be too harsh with people that are in this mix. But then when you come to things like this, when it happens between an adult and a child, that is a different case entirely, if you ask me. Because now, when you have two adults, you can say maybe there's consent. I mean, at the end of the day, it's their business. But when it happens to a minor, and someone who is an adult, that there should be no excuses at all, because there is no consent in between. It is outrightly wrong. It should be cancelled immediately. I think Nigerians need to make these laws pretty clear, so that people that commit these crimes will know what they are getting into, and so that the laws can also hit them harder, so things like this will not happen.
Now, in the event of most of the people talking about this 14 years, are there known people that have actually served this 14-year sentence for practicing same-sex relationships that you know about?
Personally, I do not. Just like I said in my first statement, we find out that these things just fade away, And I'm not going to be a prophet of doom or be a prophet at all. But if you watch this case and you follow it, you'll find out that you just don't hear anything anymore. And that's where it gets sad, because now the people that commit these crimes are not held accountable, and it keep happening because they are not paying the price for their crimes.
Right. Now, you've hammered on, things fading away. When this happens, we're used to the normal pattern where, the justice system doesn't really carry out in a way where these people are actually sentenced and they actually serve time for their crimes. Now, where do you think we have bodies like, what's it called? Ministry of Women and Children Affairs, we have the Violence Against People's Policy and Act, we have the Child Rights Act. How do you think those can come in? Because it's difficult, like you said rightly, that the voice of the mother alone is amplified in this. How do those bodies come in to help the woman amplify her voice in a way that it will be heard, and cases like this would have some sentencing that, dissuades other people from committing such?
Right. I think just those organizations you mentioned, right, should make it their business, make it their sole business to take up issues like this. I feel like when you have 2 or 3 organizations take this more seriously, like as the mother has spoken out, you reach out to the mom, you find out the information that she has with her, and you make sure you follow up these cases, I feel like there would be a result. I mean, there are countries, I think it was China, I'm not sure, but cases of rape are much more held. I mean, it's a really strong justice system there. You either have your, stuff cut off, because I mean, if you don't have it, you can't rape anymore, as sad as it sounds. But when such judgment is being made in places like that, you see that such perpetrations don't come to life anymore.
Right.
So even if we are not doing that, let's just make sure we see end to these things.
Are you vying for the capital punishment for rapists?
Well, if I'm going to be honest, I mean, I do look at the news and you see rape cases almost every day. So I wouldn't say no to that, but you know, at the same time, we're humans. I feel people can be given second chances, but then I just feel like we can find a way around it and make sure these things don't happen. And one way to make sure it doesn't happen is make these people pay for their crimes.
Now, when you talk about people should be given second chances, I want to tell you briefly about a story of some people that were sentenced a few days ago. Now, two men, you know, two gay people went ahead to adopt two boys, right, in Georgia, and they were raping these boys and equally sending out these videos of this assault, as it were, to people that purchased them, right? As on Tuesday, they were sentenced to 100 years in prison. Now, do you think 100 years is good enough time for someone to have a rethink and say, okay, this thing I did was wrong? And I mean, with 100 years, definitely the child would have grown older before those people come out. Do you think that is fair enough judgment as opposed to the capital punishment?
That is a good start, if you ask me. Because, I mean, it's not a death, it's not a capital punishment like that, but that's a good start. Now, the trauma has been done to the kid. Who knows what will happen to just
right.
But it's sad. But then that's a good start.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Right. So one more before we leave this topic to the next one. What are your thoughts as regards the way Nigeria handles therapy for survivors of such incident? The mother has said she's been the one paying all of the transportation, even for the police force to go to court and all of that. What are your thoughts as regards support for victims of rape, be it male or female? Because for me, gender-based violence doesn't just happen to women or to men or to boys or to women alone or to girls alone. It goes vice versa. It happens to boys and it happens to girls also. What are your thoughts as regards the kind of support that we as a people, the society, the government, that we give to people that have survived such ugly experiences? Now, I'm talking about you recently, previously just mentioned the trauma that the child will have to go through. The mother did not state if any of such measures are being put in place for this child, because to erase the memories of this sort of event, certain level of, counseling and discourse and, and therapy is supposed to be had with the child. What are your thoughts as regards the way victims that have, survivors rather, we choose to call them survivors instead of victims, that have survived this phase of life, how do they, help them heal? What should be put in place in a way whereby all of these ministries I mentioned earlier, by government bodies and even us as people, the stigmatization that comes with rape is prevalent in the society, which is the reason most people don't even get to talk about it. What are your thoughts as regards what can be put in place to help these victims to heal? I don't know if this child, the mother didn't state if the child is currently, getting any therapy or healing for the trauma he must have experienced. How do we make that a normal pattern for victims and survivors to go through and get them healing to be well integrated into the society?
All right. Like you said, there are organizations that are supposedly supposed to handle these cases. Now, I feel like this part of the world not take these things seriously as it should be taken. When a child is being sodomized, be it a girl or a guy, we feel it just goes down to all these things fading away. We feel like, oh, at the end of the day, it happened to me, right? It's not my kid. We all forget these things, but these children grow up with it. Now, psychologically, these guys' talent would not be the same, depending on how it is managed. So I feel like these organizations that will be taking up these cases should also have bodies or have a system that can help manage these kids or the victims so they can grow up mentally to okay, because it's not going to be easy for them. The trauma, it could mess with them, it could even make them become something else in the future.